Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Alright, should we have a look and see what there is to talk about first, or should we go straight to the Eubank stuff? Straight to the Eubank stuff. That was crazy. That was crazy. That was interesting. I was going to say that was unexpected, but expect the unexpected when it comes to Chris Eubank Jr. The press conference was going along nicely, right? Quite boring, if I'm honest with you. They are boring, aren't they, these things? I mean, look, I host them, but I mean, I'm there as a fan as well. And I'm like, someone do something, someone say something. And it was all very nice. I think Ben tried to say something to Liam, but even Liam didn't hear it or something. So it was all very, very nice and boring. And then you go to Chris, and Chris does what Chris does. Like, nobody can control Chris Eubank. Nobody. Honestly, nobody. Hence why he's moved around different promoters, different broadcasters. Because if you don't see things the way Chris sees things, then he's going. And, you know, I have to be honest with you, there's a part of me that loves that. Honestly, there's a part of me that loves that. He is in control. And this isn't a conversation about his ability and, you know, whether or not he should have achieved more. I'm just talking about him being in control of his career and what comes out of his mouth. And that's actually quite refreshing. I know some don't like it, but I find it quite refreshing that someone can just speak their mind whenever they want and doesn't give a fuck. But that yesterday even surprised me. It's weird. Some people think I knew it was coming. How the fuck would I know that was coming? Like, why would I know? Did you not see the shock in my face? You know what was funny though? Yeah. When he started, I kind of looked at Frank immediately because I think he went for Frank first, right? I think it was Frank, Eddie, then Calla, or Eddie, or Calla, then Eddie. I'm not quite sure, but it was definitely Frank first. And Frank heard his name, but Frank didn't know what he was saying. Because it actually, for some reason, I don't know why, but when you're on the top table, it's actually quite hard to hear what the people just below are saying. Like, even I struggled a little bit. So Frank didn't quite know. When Frank got wind of what he was saying, I'm not joking, Frank's face, like, I was trying to control myself. Frank was livid. Like, livid. Like, he was so livid, I felt like a younger Frank would have jumped out of his chair. I'm not even joking. Like, he was ready to attack. And look, he called everyone scumbags. Called them all, didn't he? He called Frank a scumbag. Said that he was in an awful contract with Calla. Calla's a scumbag. They called Eddie and Frank Smith scumbags. Which is crazy. Especially when you consider the dynamic, like the personal relationship there. Remember, Frank Smith is engaged to Chris's sister. It's just a weird kind of situation. Isn't that weird? I just find the whole thing weird. But you know, I will say this on it. And look, the scumbag thing, guys, I'm not really going to talk about that. Obviously, you guys know the position I'm in. It's a bit awkward. But I will say this about the contract thing. Like, boxing is littered with fighters having problems with managers and promoters. Littered. Like, there's ones that, obviously, we know only the ones that are the elite fighters, right? And when they come out, I mean, look at the situation with Canelo and Oscar. Look at that, for example. So we only know the real big ones, but can you imagine the ones, sort of the mid-level ones? Imagine that, where fighters don't speak out, or if they do, they don't have the platform to speak out, so no one knows about it. Like, it must be horrendous. Fighters have to be so careful. Honestly, have to be so careful, and it must be difficult. You know, you're a fighter. You know, fighting is what makes you money. A promoter comes along, offers you a contract. You will not even sometimes look. You'll just sign on the dotted line, and then ultimately you're in a position where a few years later, especially when you start to get good and start to think you deserve more money, you're locked into that contract and you're fucked. I mean, again, that there is so many stories about it. So although some are not happy with what Chris said and how Chris said it, there will be some that are like, there'll be some like, okay, you know, I get it, I'm hearing. Because I'm reading the comments, like, I'm going through all the videos, everyone that's kind of put that clip up, I'm looking at the comments, I'd say 90%, maybe even more, are favouring what Chris said. 90%. So, and that's just because I think we all know it's the wild, wild west out here. Again, you're not going to hear many boxers speak out, if any. No one really speaks out. Look at the situation Yard's going through right now. Again, we're not privy to exactly what that situation is, but the situation is forcing a very, very good fighter, Anthony Yard, out of the ring right now. That's not good. It's not good. I don't like it. I tweeted it the other day that we need Anthony Yard back. I need Anthony Yard back. But Anthony Yard isn't back because of a situation, which I don't know is out of his hands, but looks like there is a situation between Tunde and Frank about a contract or some bullshit. But ultimately, it's another fighter. And look, again, we don't know the ins and outs, but it's another fighter that isn't in the ring because they're having a problem with their promoter. Boxing is littered with it. It's too much. And although Chris has come out and apologized, and I think Frank's accepted the apology, I mean, the deed was done. I mean, Chris will probably think, yes, I've had to kind of, apologize, sort of tell between the legs, but ultimately he got his voice out there. He said something, and that was watched. And that video, I saw something. Oh, what's the channel called? I think it's not GRM Daily, it's another one, but it's been viewed by millions. So he's got his point across, and yes, he's had to kind of, retract the statement. But how can you retract something that's now out there to the masses? There is a funny photo, not funny, but there's a photo of him, Turkey, Ben, Frank Warren, George is there as well, and Spencer Brown. And this is almost as though the headmaster's called everyone to the office, just like, stop this now. Let's all move on, and let's make boxing a good space, which is going to be very difficult because this sport is crazy. Sport's crazy. I love the sport, but it's crazy. Honestly, it really is. It's the craziest sport. Like I do cover other sports. I cover tennis. You guys might not know this. I cover football, obviously. I did even the World Pool Championship the other day. Boxing is the craziest sport I've ever covered. And football must be fucking nuts as well. But football doesn't affect people's health the way boxing does. So almost, when I do hear fighters sort of scream about contracts and fighters having to go to court and this and that, I'm like, fucking hell, man. Horrible. But yeah, it was wild. To be on stage whilst that was going on, in my head I was thinking, do I interrupt? Like, honestly, I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I interrupt? But I thought, I can't interrupt Chris Eubank Jr. Like, he's a big name. It's not like a lower level fighter. Mics are not going to be turned off. Just let him have his moment. And he had his moment. But I do feel like somehow I got used in that situation. Like, by asking that question, like, talk to me about boxer. I thought he was going to say, yep, I'm ready. I'm good to go with a new promotional company. Can't wait to get going. And then turn it to Kamil Zaramata. He wasn't happy, was he, when I said that he got knocked out by Liam Smith? He said, well, I didn't get knocked out. Get your facts straight. I was like, oh, steady, brother. I'm not fighting you. It was kind of a knockout. But look, it's great to have Chris back. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That boy just brings a different energy to a fight card, different energy to a press conference. Again, that shit was running boring. It was running boring, that press conference. And I put my hands up. Maybe I'm supposed to try and get, everyone going, but you can't. Sometimes fighters, you just can't get them going. Chris came, and all of a sudden, it went from very boring to very exciting. And I was like, okay. We forgot about Bivol Beterbiev. We forgot about them, didn't we? And I hope they don't get forgotten about again. Bivol Beterbiev must be the best fight with the least amount of hype. Like, honestly, when you think about the magnitude of it, it's Crawford Spence, it's Fury Usyk. But you think of the magnitude of those two fights and what they meant. Like, Crawford Spence was just, oh my God, insanely big, right? Insanely big. Did incredible pay-per-view numbers, massive. Fury Usyk, insanely big. These two don't even talk. I love you, Bivol. You know I'm Team Bivol. Doesn't talk. Beterbiev doesn't talk. So these two are so lucky that Turkey has come along to pay for this event. Because what both fighters want to get paid, no one would have put the money up for it. Like, it won't do big numbers in a pay-per-view. It won't. It just won't. There was a time when this fight could have happened in Canada, and I think that would have been the biggest it might have ever been, but I didn't think Bivol wanted to go to Canada. But it's such a great fight, and it's a shame because I do think this is one of the best fights we're likely to ever see. I do think there's something about this, and I said it at the presser, I do think there's something special about this fight. And as for the trailer, best one yet. It really is. It's a different type of trailer. I love it. It was the only thing that made sense. The kind of great Game of Thrones, Vikings between those two. You got Beterbiev that looks like, he almost looks like the bad guy that would have just killed everyone in the village. And look at me, I'm fucking playing. You know what it reminds me of? There's a bit, what film was it with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Conan the Barbarian, where, you know, you got the person that killed everyone in the village and Conan sort of vanished, Conan being Bivol. I don't know where the fuck I'm going with this. And Bivol's come back to kind of kill the man that killed everyone. That's what I thought anyway. I don't know where I'm going with it. All right, let's have a look. I saw that there was a picture as well with AJ and Turkey. And I hope they're not trying to rush AJ into something, you know. I really hope they're not trying to rush AJ into something, because that February date is, you know, the one that they're trying to fill. And I guess they would have hoped to have filled it with Crawford versus Canelo. Canelo's not going to take it. Crawford might still stay on it versus Virgil Ortiz maybe. But I do wonder if they're going to try and get Dubois on that card versus someone, and AJ versus someone. I don't know. I do not know. All right, what else is there to talk about? A good fight in America this weekend. I mean, I feel like it's not got that much. Sandy Ryan versus Michaela Mayer. Well, I'm a huge Sandy Ryan fan. And I thought she looked really, really good against Terry Harper. Well, she just busted her up, didn't she? Terry Harper fights this weekend as well against Rhiannon Dixon. But yeah, I like this fight a lot. I really do. I want to see if Sandy gets through it. I want to see either Sandy versus Chantel Cameron. I think that's a great fight over here, and I think it's a female fight that does really good numbers over here as well. Or I want to see Sandy versus Alicia Baumgardner. Alicia Baumgardner jumping up to 147. We'll see. Chris Eubank Jr. says sorry to Frank Warren after press conference. He would only say sorry in a statement. He would never say it visually on camera. No chance. No way, Jose. I did a face-off this morning for Jack Massey versus Opata. I did Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark as well. Those two were okay. It didn't really get going, but it was okay. It was a nice little conversation. But I'm telling you now, although Opata and Massey didn't get going either, Opata has this, mate, honestly, he's got this aura about him. That's a scary dude. That's a very, very scary dude. What's else? In Hamza Shiraz, middleweight division has its new giant. I do think something has to go wrong for Hamza not to be a middleweight champion. And look, I know let's respect the champions, right? Alan Canali, Carlos Adames, Erislandy Lara. I respect them all. I think obviously Alan Canali being the biggest name in the division from a talent perspective anyway. I think he can beat them all. Look, understand, and I know we will try and discredit who Tyler Denny was. Tyler Denny was a European champion. And look, I get it. You look at the resume, there isn't that much there with Tyler, but a European champion, let's give him his respect. He destroyed him in a couple of rounds. He could have had him out there in the first. If he really put his foot on the pedal, he would have got Tyler out there the first. That's what he just did to a European champion. He's a bit of a problem. I'm liking this card. I'm trying to get myself. I'm trying to convince DAZN and Matchroom to send me to Philly for this card. Bam, Jaron Ennis is on the card. Khalil Coe's on the card. Raymond Ford's on the card. Amma Williams is back on the card. I'm sorry, that's a great card. That really is a great card. I'm trying to get myself injured. I just read something here about Ellie Scottney being injured. I'm trying to get myself on that card. We'll see. Errol Spence, I saw this the other day. Errol Spence, I'm hearing likely to fight Sebastian Fundora January or February. So it looks like Spence is back. There was something about me that thought Spence might not come back. But look, we'll see. We'll see what Spence does when he comes back. Good luck to him. We're going to end on this one. It was silly, and I saw Edgar Berlanga tweet it. Edgar Berlanga says he would like to step up and fight AJ at heavyweight. Because I want to test myself and walk around over 200 pounds. I want to test myself. I want to test my greatness. AJ would fold Berlanga in about 30 seconds. Like, don't be fooled by seeing AJ get beat by Daniel Dubois and Edgar Berlanga go toe-to-toe for the last couple of rounds with Canelo. If AJ were to hit that boy clean, and he would, because AJ is fast, it would send him into another dimension. Yeah. Anyway, peace.